So, what do you think it would mean if you did have blood or protein in your urine then?
Something's wrong with it.
Yeah. So you can have issues here. You can have issues with this glomerulus. Hypertension is real common. So with hypertension, blood is coming in here and it's coming in hot and heavy. So it's going fast. And what it will do is it will burst these capillaries, and then you'll have blood spilling out into that capsule, that Bowman's capsule, and then you will see urine. I mean, you won't visually see urine on stuff like that. And that's the problem with, that's why they say hypertension, those things can be silent killers, because you can have it for years and be causing damage at these guys and not even know it. So you're causing renal damage, but we've got millions of them. So we can kill off, and you've got 2 kidneys. So you can kill off a whole bunch of these before you really start seeing problems. Diabetes is the same thing. It'll do the same thing too. So if you see if you have protein or blood present, then you could have some renal failure going on. Say again.
Can you reverse it?
You can't reverse it, but you can stop the damage. You can't fix a lot of it. So stop it, halt it, and again, your kidneys. We've got a whole bunch of these guys, and they're pretty resilient. So this picture I love because it's a little easier to see the filtrate. We don't have the capillaries, and we have everything kind of stretched out. So we have the renal corpuscle, which is the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule together, collecting filtrate, going through the proximal convoluted, the descending loop, the loop of Henle, the ascending, distal convoluted, and then your collecting duct. So this is the one that you're going to create on Monday with your clay, and then you'll actually add in the peritubular capillaries as well. Unlike the picture, you will make sure that this one is larger than that one, because we need the afferent arteriole to be bigger and the efferent to be smaller to create that pressure. Okay, so what was the unit, the filtration unit? So that would be a lot of things put together. It was the nephron, yes. It's the unit. The glomerulus is just a portion of that unit. The corpuscle, the glomerulus helps make up that corpuscle, and then the pelvis is in the kidney itself. Okay, glomerular filtration, so that is, let's go back here. So, glomerular filtration is where we're pulling out everything right here. So everything comes out, all the sodium, all the potassium, all the electrolytes, as well as sugar and tons of water come out. Yeah, where'd he go? Oh, he went a long ways. Come out right here. So then we have to do what's called tubular reabsorption. And so, make sure I'm on target here. Yeah, tubular reabsorption. So what's going to happen is we start to remove things back out. Remember, we got peritubular capillaries all wrapped around these tubules. And we'll start pulling sodium. We'll start pulling water back into the blood. So we'll reabsorb it. That's tubular reabsorption. So those capillaries are taking it back into the blood. That sometimes can get easily mixed up. Then we'll have what's called tubular secretion. Will be the last process. Making sure I have my terms right. Tubular secretion. So that's going to be secreting. Like we excrete sweat onto our skin, we'll secrete out of our body. So we'll pee out fluid. And that end result would be urine then. When we look... So this is a great picture when I was talking about the pressure differences and showing you those really big red blood cells and proteins can't fit through those little holes. So we should not be seeing those in our urine. I say see them. You will not physically see them. But on a urinalysis, they would show up. GFR, or your glomerular filtration rate. This is something that they will look at, especially with your diabetic patients and high blood pressure patients, because they're wanting to see, okay, is these pressures or is this diabetes affecting your kidneys? Because if you break that down, glomerular, so that's the glomerulus filtration rate, how fast are they pulling out fluid each hour, each minute? And they'll do this by blood test. If the flow is too high, the body will lose excess water and nutrients. So if we've got high blood pressure, then we're going to filtrate a lot out. And they can become dehydrated easily. And then if it's too low, they can become very toxic. So those electrolytes will start creeping up. Potassium will get really high, and you can cause cardiac arrest. It's a big, scary deal. I need to pull up this video too for you. Okay, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. I'm not going to have you know this. You have to know aldosterone. You will have to know some of it. If you'll follow those questions that are on your notes, that will help you. So don't get stressed out about this either. So, afferent with its big diameter, bringing some high blood pressure in there, we have some juxtalar glomerular cells that are wrapped around that. And what they are there to do is just constantly detect the pressure. They're constantly saying, okay, what's the pressure now? Okay, it's 120 over 85. Okay, now it's 160 over 75. And so they're constantly picking up what the pressure is. So if the pressure goes down, it starts to drop, these juxtalar glomerular cells say, oh my gosh, we need to release some renin. So that renin will then travel to the liver, and this is where it gets hairy and crazy, because you're like, why do you have to have this to change this to that before you finally have something happen? So renin goes to the liver converts the renin, it triggers it to produce some angiotensin 1. In your lungs, you have that converted to angiotensin 2, which then finally, all of this is just to tell the adrenal gland that sits on top of the kidney, hey, why don't you release some hormone, help us out. We have to go through all of this just to say, hey, we got low blood pressure, can you release some aldosterone? So, and that's why you'll see in the next lecture where we talk about acid-base balance and how metabolic is really, really slow. This is metabolic. We're bringing about a metabolic change. It takes forever. Whereas respiratory, we can change things very quickly. And that's where we're talking about acidosis. Remember when we said if you stop breathing, your CO2 levels will go really high, your acidity will get really high, or that number will get really low because we'll be acidic. Well, this, to fix that, takes forever. Okay, so adrenal glands finally release aldosterone, then moves to that nephron and says, hey, why don't you go ahead and reabsorb some water? Our blood pressure is dropping. Take in some water.